What's up, guys and girls? Welcome to another episode of the Generation Strong Talk Show. This episode is brought to you by Emirates Strength, WUS Dubai, and Recharge DXB. My name is Ray. I'm here with my trusted partner in crime, Jesse, aka J-Rod. And today, we're interviewing a man who needs no introduction, but I'm going to go ahead anyways. A pro bodybuilder, world record powerlifter, soon to be pro strongman, a man who walks with lions and tigers, or feeds lions and tigers, standing at 6'1".
That's right.
280 pounds.
Yes, sir.
Larry Wheels. How's it going, Larry?
Doing good. Thanks for having me here. Thank you so much.
The honor is ours. The honor is ours. How's your experience been in Dubai so far?
Like I said earlier, everything is bigger and better here in Dubai. The closest thing to here would be Vegas. You were right. But this is about 100 times bigger than Vegas. Yeah, it's much more than just the strip.
Yeah, I think it's the WUS incubator, right?
That's
it's
right.
Like bringing athletes together and getting them to this wonderful city. And how's that experience been so far?
So far, they put me in a 5-star luxury hotel, gave me plenty of meals to eat every day.
Amazing.
Took me away from all my worries and obligations in the States so I could focus on training here. And then here at Emirates Strength, they have a facility with all the training equipment I could ever need for strongman.
Amazing.
Small, but everything I could need.
Yeah, dude, everything. And how's the master himself, Mark Boyd, been treating you?
He's a master, and he's definitely a really great coach. Yeah, I feel like we're actually the same age, and we have a lot in common. We have good chemistry.
Amazing, yeah. And I think the deadlifts are also fairly competitive.
That's right.
Both of you guys have fairly competitive deadlifts.
Absolutely, like within 10 kilos.
Amazing. I saw that 365 for 7. I was like, holy moly. Barefoot, no shirt on, and like with the Emirates Strength belt.
That's right.
That was huge. Well done, man. So WUS Incubator has been great. What else did you guys get up to apart from feeding lions and tigers and?
Apart from, I mean, that was definitely the highlight of the trip.
And flexing on camels. Sorry.
I love animals, so the tigers, lions, there was chimpanzees and orangutans. But aside from that stuff, my girlfriend went skydiving. I was gonna go, I was actually suited up and ready, and they said I can't go because the weather got really windy, so I was gonna be on standby all day long. I just left. I
was like, oh, you're too big, bro. Like, can't get up there. I was like,
they made an exception for me. The limit is 105, but the owner was there, and she found somebody who apparently didn't want to live anymore. He took me on.
We'll take him.
I think the weight requirement, it's like obviously the equipment, but it's also like the instructor has to be able to control your body weight while they're falling as well as their own. So like you want someone very experienced.
Exactly. You're like, I don't want a guy who wants to die.
That said, they have to have done a ridiculous amount of jumps to be doing that. So
absolutely.
Have you jumped before?
I haven't. This would have been my first time. And I was actually in the car on the way to the airplane, and they told me, "Gotta get out."
No, we've got to work that out.
I remember speaking to one of the guys, and they were like, "You know what? Recharge is just going to be like just random things. All of a sudden, just pull people out. Like, hey, have you ever walked the beach with a tiger?" That's amazing. And you've been one of the guys. Like, hey, let's go jump out on a plane. That happened. Anyways, that's awesome. Food in Dubai. So, how are you liking the food? Dubai is known for its like cuisine and it's like really high quality food. How are you enjoying that so far?
It's amazing. I went and had dinner at this secret restaurant at the Burj Al Arab, the 7-star.
What's it called again?
Did I say it wrong? The Burj Al Arab?
Yeah, the Burj Al Arab. Yeah.
Okay.
But you're close. Close enough. Close enough.
As long as we're on the same page. But yeah, I had amazing lobster. Thor had the salted sea bass, and it's just amazing. The food is amazing. I love it. I love food, and I'm not disappointed there.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's Dubai for you. Okay. Let's get into the questions.
So Larry, I would like to know a little bit about your experience being able to take this long break away to focus solely on training. You mentioned you'd just come from having a little break like that in Iceland. Can you tell me about that experience?
Well, when I was in Iceland, I was very fortunate to have the opportunity to train with the world's strongest man. And Thor has his own gym, specifically for strongman. So I had himself, his coach, everybody was there, a huge support system for not only Thor but myself as well. in LA, I just discovered a training hall where Martin Mises trains, and I only had one training session there. But before that, I was training in zoo culture, and then before that, in New York City, Mount Vernon. And these gyms, like the last few years, I've been very privileged to have gyms that are really well equipped. But I've never, until Iceland, been able to train outside of my routine, my environment, the familiar faces, and it just felt really good. Just everything from the scenery to the food to the accent and languages, and like everything outside of the gym was just like invigorating. Like it was so refreshing that it affected my training as well. You know, because I've spent up until I took this 2-month journey in Iceland all my life in America, and maybe you travel from state to state, but most of it is the same. You know, and this was just night and day from any experience I've ever had.
Yeah. So this trip essentially has been your first time overseas. Was it?
Before this, I took a 10-day vacation sightseeing as a tourist in November to Europe. I just went to see Rome, Venice, Paris. Yeah.
So from that, like traveling, what was like your biggest takeaway of like from now more exposure to the rest of the world?
Biggest takeaway? Getting to experience the culture firsthand. It's nothing like watching a YouTube video, which is all I had until I actually went there. You know,
we see all the biggest structures in the world, and now you actually get to live it and see how the life is.
100%. Yeah, super privileged. Like I'm grateful to have the way of making income allow me to spend 2 months, 3 months. I mean, by the time I get back in LA, I won't be back until May. That's 4 months away from home, and it's just amazing time.
Whoop, whoop. Shout out to Recharge and Emirates Strength.
Yeah.
That's right.
So can you tell us a little bit about how you started in training and then how you've transitioned? And then I'd like to know about like what motivates you to keep going.
Yeah, so my background, for those who don't know my story, is I started training at 13, going to 14 years old in St. Martin. So there wasn't any English school on the island. Only one, it was private and I couldn't afford it. And all the other schools were either French or Dutch. And I wasn't going to go to school in the junior high school without speaking the language. So I ended up spending 2.5 years riding my bike every day. And after about 6 months on the island, not going to school, not working, I just decided, okay, I need to exert myself somehow. I had way too much energy. And then the kids I was befriending on the island, even they were busy at school, you know, and had to be home. They had curfews while I'd be out and about most of the day by myself. So after about a few months of just boredom, I decided to start lifting weights, and I started with a broomstick and cinder blocks and pull-ups, sit-ups, push-ups, that kind of stuff. And I loved it. It just stuck with me all the way until I got back to the States. And then I met a veteran who taught me about powerlifting. This is when I'm going on 17, and he taught me how to do the squat, bench, and deadlift. And they only train 2-3 days a week, and they max out all the time. And this sounded amazing to me. I was like, this is for me.
What I was made for, bro. What I was made for.
Exactly my point. So after that, I fast forward to when I'm 21. I got my first world record, and then the year after, my second. The first one being at 242.
I wish life was that easy for me.
The second at 275, and then it wasn't that I got bored with powerlifting, but when I turned 22, going to 23, this is almost 10 years of training and doing the same style of training. I want to challenge myself in a new way, so I picked up bodybuilding. And for me, as a bodybuilder, you mentioned I'm a pro early. I'm not a pro yet. I'm still an amateur. Yeah, but I've done 2 shows. I won my first one. It was a really small show in California. My second one, I did nationals, and I wasn't even close to being competitive. I didn't place top 10. I think there were maybe about 30 heavyweights, something like that, and I finished, I think, 12. So I have a long road ahead of me. Yeah.
First call, yeah.
And this is the second, or I think the first, one of the 2 most competitive national bodybuilding shows for amateur bodybuilders trying to turn pro.
Yeah.
So that really put me in with the sharks, and I learned that for bodybuilding, I have many years to go before I'm a top level pro.
You're gonna get to that level, nice.
Yeah, but it's no rush for me. You know, I can take my time with bodybuilding.
True.
Yeah.
When it comes to let's say the transfer from bodybuilding to powerlifting. So if we can go back to that era when you moved from like bodybuilding to powerlifting, what were the major carryovers and what were the major changes you experienced? What did you like? What did you not like? Okay. Bodybuilding is, I feel like it's a lot more rounded, and you're working every single muscle group, and then powerlifting goes into that very like specific training of squat, bench, deadlift.
With bodybuilding, there's much more variety. So it's not just a squat, bench, deadlift. My workouts would be a lot shorter though. So instead of spending 2.5, 3 hours in the gym, I would spend at the most 90 minutes.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, so I actually liked that change of pace. I didn't have to spend 2.5, 3 hours in the gym, and I'll be over my workouts very quickly. The rest periods are much shorter, from maybe 10 minutes.
The missus is happier.
That's true. Or maybe not, because when you're dieting for a bodybuilding show, you get very grumpy, cranky.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that could that could end up being worse, actually.
Happier you're into powerlifting.
Nice. Yeah.
You can eat whatever you want and just...
In powerlifting?
Pig out, almost.
In powerlifting and strongman, yeah. I had 2 Cinnabons in the last 2 days. And in bodybuilding, that's just like fantasy.
Like, no, bro. Just see the pictures.
That's right.
Drive by Krispy Kreme and you're like...
Smell it and imagine.
In Toronto, we had a Cinnabon right at the subway, which I always got off at every single fucking day, and it's like, and you could smell it throughout the subway. And there was one year where I bought a Cinnabon every single day with the extra pecans and the caramels for a year. You can imagine. I went up like 25 kilos. And I was in the fitness industry, so I'm like this fat big guy. Well, I'm bulking, bro. I'm bulking. You know, I'm just like, it's just not a good thing, but Cinnabon, yeah.
It's good to meet another fellow Cinnabon.
Yeah, it's a guilty pleasure, bro. It's a guilty pleasure.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
As a fellow powerlifter, Ray's a powerlifter as well. He's a wannabe powerlifter.
I want to be. Yeah, I want to be powerlifter.
So, what would your advice be to like other people who want to get into the sport and around powerlifting specifically?
Well, what stopped me from, I want to say, making progress, and when I ran into my plateaus and hit walls, is when I got hurt. And injury prevention definitely should be a priority for a new powerlifter, and to know how to properly, you're not going to be perfect, but do your best to find a coach who can give you hands-on, and he can really break down your technique for squat, bench, and deadlift so you don't get hurt. Because I think a lot of new powerlifters, or maybe people thinking about getting into powerlifting, fear getting a big injury, like whether it's like hurting their back or their knees, and that won't happen if you properly do the squat, bench, deadlift.
Tip number 1: get a coach. Actually, get a coach.
Definitely get a coach. Because once I got a coach, I just started being on a steady incline. Stopped getting hurt. I started winning powerlifting meets and started breaking records, and had so much more confidence in my training. I didn't have plateaus or walls anymore. Every time I did the hypertrophy strength peaking phase, I made progress. And it was just the best decision I made.
Amazing. Quick question on powerlifting. Are you still benching?
I'm still benching, but now it's used as an accessory to the lot.
Yeah, because like a lot of the strongmen don't really bench too much or a lot. And I was like, what happened to that bench at 610, right?
610 in competition, yeah.
I was like, what happened to the 610 bench?
It's doing okay.
Yeah.
The log press is the bench press of strongman, so yeah, it's.
I've heard 440, right?
So yeah, today maybe 465. We'll see.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a big day today.
See, that's a dun moment. Dude, I'm definitely watching that.
Well, by the time you guys watch this video, you'll know whether or not I got it.
Yeah, he's already got his thing rolling. Anyways, okay. What if we? Let's talk about the transition to strongman now.
Okay.
What motivated you? I know you want to be the strongest man in the world and the best looking guy.
Who doesn't?
What was the major motivation, and what were the biggest changes you made from powerlifting to strongman in that realm?
Right. So this would have to go back to when I first got into powerlifting. I was also learning about strongman, but the strongmen who were at the top at that time was Brian Shaw, just giants among men, and me being only 6'1" at the time, maybe 230. I was like, there's just no way I'm going to be able to ever be even a top 10 pro strongman. I was just too small. That's what I thought at the time. You know, as a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
And then a couple years ago, last year at Iron Addicts, Thor, we worked out in Vegas, and he told me, hey, come to Iceland and I'll train you for 2 months and I'll teach you strongman. And then I let that sit and marinate for a few months, and then I decided to take him up on his offer. And I thought, who better to learn strongman from than the current most strongest man?
Can you imagine Thor just, I'll teach you a strongman. You come, I was like, I wish that ever happened to me. I wish that ever happened to me.
If you were at that gym at the time, you could have been in that conversation. You know?
The little brown guy, he's like, I'd go do my accounts. or something on those lines. Sorry, continue.
And now, I think realistically, podium finish at the World's Strongest Man or World's Ultimate Strongman is something within my sights. Being the #1 World's Strongest Man, I still have a lot of progress to make before I can say that's realistic. I don't want to, I feel like that's reaching for the stars right now. Strongman each year is getting more competitive. The guys are getting bigger and they're getting stronger. I mean, Eddie Bryan
getting stronger,
and that's right.
Thor's getting stronger.
But he'd be my competition, right? I mean, it's him. Eddie retired.
Yeah.
Brian Shaw, right? And then now Matthias Kielkowski,
Kielkowski and Lisis.
The smallest one of the guys I mentioned is 350.
And you're sitting at like 280.
Yeah. Right. So it's going to be tough.
A lot of Cinnabons involved.
That's right.
A lot of Cinnabons involved. Yeah.
I'm sure to have one every day. That's right.
Yeah. Toronto. Young and Eglinton subway station.
So on diet, like how has it changed now that you're in strongman? Like, is it more similar to what you were doing when you were powerlifting, or you're not worried about weight classes now? So
it's almost identical to powerlifting, just staying in calorie surplus. Because even in powerlifting, I was still trying to be my biggest and heaviest. With strongman though, the pressure is even higher and stronger, because now it's not like I have to gain just maybe 5 kilos and I can maybe drop a couple, break a record. Now I have to gain at least 20 kilograms. I have to eat much more. It takes a lot more work in the kitchen than in powerlifting, because the goals are a lot harder right now.
Yeah. They're big.
Yeah.
And there's literally no excuses.
Exactly.
Do you cook much for yourself?
Sorry?
Do you do much of the cooking yourself?
My girlfriend helps out a lot with that. I also use meal prep companies. I don't cook at all, to be honest. I put something in the microwave or make a shake, and that's about as fancy as I get.
He's like,
I have an Indian mom. Okay, I get all the food in the world. Ben can attest.
That's amazing.
Questions with training with Thor. So, it's how has that experience been so far? What's the biggest thing that stood out with, maybe even like hanging with Thor and even training with him?
Right. Thor is definitely a gentle giant, and his family and friends are even more gentle and generous. He has the most supportive system that I've ever seen from another athlete. When you go to his gym, Thor's Power Gym, you see his mom, his dad is there, his nephews and nieces and his sisters, his closest friends he grew up with for 10 years, they're all there. And they're all helping him put the equipment together, helping rack his weights, and even wiping the sweat off his forehead. Wow. They're just like Team Thor all the way.
Amazing.
Every day.
So great.
Every day. And it's just really heartwarming to see that and be a part of that, because it rubbed off onto me. They're helping me just as much as Thor. And sure, there was a small language barrier, but I understood him most of the time, and he's a great coach as well as an athlete.
Amazing. So with the whole trip here, like, have you been on a different program, like with the Emirates Strength program, or you're with the Australian Strength coach?
I was working. Actually, right now, I'm working with Australian Strength coach, and when I got to WUS Power Gym, I was working with him as well. So I've been with him for about 3 months now.
Nice. Yeah. And training here has been great. You got everything you need?
Absolutely. There's nothing in this gym that's not here.
The man has provided everything?
That's right. Mark is the man, provider.
The provider.
I'd like to talk a little bit about your competitive mindset. When you're preparing for a competition, what are the mindset, what strategies are you using to make sure that you're in the right mindset to compete? And then what sort of challenges have you found, or things you've learned in your years of competing? Maybe strategies that worked for you really well, or
really focusing on myself, because strongman, bodybuilding, powerlifting, it's really just you up there when it's time to compete, and it's sometimes lacking motivation, or maybe on a big lift, on a day where you have a really big lift, you need to get fired up, and it may help to look at what other people are doing. But ultimately, it just comes down to what you're doing and being better than you were yesterday. And I just have a checklist I go off, like am I eating all my meals, and am I doing my mobility work before, am I properly warming up, and am I, is my technique on point, you know, and I'll replay videos of my workout like every day to make sure everything's on point, and that's really helped me come a long way. I say just focusing on yourself and just being the best version of you, I think is a mindset that works for everybody. Yeah.
And then, so when you're on the day of a competition and you're in that environment, obviously there's a lot of, I guess you call it stress that goes on in that situation.
And testosterone.
From my own experience and a lot of my sort of elite lifter friends, they have sort of different things that they'll do to sort of keep themselves in that correct mental state so that they can perform on the day. Like, what do you do to stop people to, like, distractions on the day? Do you, like, listen to specific music? Do you have, like, a routine that you go through? Like,
for me, I try to keep everything pretty lighthearted. The more serious I feel, the more serious I get, it can actually be counterproductive, because then my anxiety really rises, my nervousness rises, I get the shakes, I start to almost forget what I was training for, so maybe my technique would suffer. I had an incident occur the first time I went where I got nervous, and I just dived on my third attempt squat and tore my quad, something I never do in training, but I was just getting nervous and all riled up, really just anxious, and I thought changing something last minute was the right thing to do, and it wasn't, it never is. So
it's true. I've learned that lesson too.
When it comes to competition day, just do what you've been doing in training, because at that day, like, you can't change anything. Nothing you change will make it better.
It's true.
You know, so that's probably the best piece of advice I can give for game day. And just, it's okay to laugh with your friends and your coach, and to just have a lighthearted mood, but just turn that switch on when you're walking up to the weight, you know?
Yeah, nice. And what about when we talk about rest and recovery, right? I know you're a big advocate of taking, in the beginning you weren't, and then you were just a very big advocate of taking some rest and doing something more on the recovery lines. What do you generally prefer when it comes to recovery, like massage or saunas, or what's your go-to?
When I'm really feeling beat up, by far hot and cold. I don't think there's a better anti-inflammation on the planet. I've taken tons of ibuprofen and Aleve, and nothing compares to hot and cold.
Hot and cold, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice. Okay. How many? So your program right now. How many rest days do you have, and how many training days?
4 training, 3 rest.
Wow. Yeah. 4 training, 3 rest. Do you find that the perfect mix right now?
Yeah, right now for sure. 4 training days, 3 rest days is. I've been doing that for powerlifting and strongman, and it just seems to be like I can't have any more training days than that, because then I won't recover. But with bodybuilding, it's different. I can go 7 days, even twice a day.
Yeah. I think the biggest tip to youngsters today would be that is take your rest days. I should listen to that advice too.
I've been telling him, he doesn't listen. It's like just the nervous system fatigue when you're doing those big lifts more than 4 times a week. Like, I tried for a while doing 5 and it killed me. So
it quickly catches up to you, for sure.
Especially when you're as old as I am. I never wear a hat to cover my white hair. Any PRs you're looking to smash in the future? In the near future, sorry.
In the near future.
Apart from the 465 today?
Apart from that, I want to smash a big deadlift after the log.
Yeah.
I have my eyes set on about 925 to 930-ish. So that'd be like a 25, 30 pound PR for me. Beyond that, I'm just focusing on my next competition after log, which will be Wembley in July. And I got to see all the events there are there. And I know one is a big deadlift, a big log. So yeah.
fun.
May I see here to the reception, please? May I see here to the reception, please?
I heard that you're a fan of manga and gaming.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I did a little research. And I'm actually, like, I've just started to be introduced to this because my flatmate is a huge fan. So, of gaming and comics, she would have no idea who you were. She keeps saying, like, athletes walk into the house and she's like, am I supposed to know them? So I'd like to know your recommendations. What are your favorites at the moment?
Anime?
Yeah.
At the moment. Well, to anyone who hasn't seen One Punch Man, that's definitely first on the list you have to check off. And then My Hero Academia, I didn't care for too much, but everyone I speak to loves that show. So that's another one. And another favorite of mine would be Hunter x Hunter. I love Hunter. I watched it like 3 times over. But real anime fans, 3 times over is nothing. But it's 152 episodes, so
That
you can
is a
definitely get
lot
lost
of
in that.
episodes.
52, that's pretty good.
If you've watched 152 episodes 3 times, that's really amazing.
That's true.
And favorite game?
Favorite game? Devil May Cry, for sure is up
Devil
there.
May Cry.
Yeah, I just completed
No FIFAs.
No FIFAs? No sports games at all. Not for me. Not for me.
Just take your mind away from everything and just like dive in. Fantasy world.
Exactly.
Yeah. Some questions from the crowd around us. So our cameraman, Ben, took the liberty of posting this on Starting Strongman yesterday that we're going to interview.
Male cleaner to the reception.
So we have, we'll just go for a couple of questions. This comes in from, I don't know how to pronounce the first name. Bo Judd. I would like to ask him where he sees himself in 5 years from now. He's already pushing 440 on the log. He just started Strongman Implements. What's his main goal? Is it to compete and win World Strongman? Well, obviously.
We already know that.
Is it to break the world record in deadlift, break the log press record? I just want to know his number one fantasy when it comes to achievements in competition.
Okay. Fantasy.
Yeah.
Well, if it comes down to fantasy, breaking all the records. I mean, who would? If it's a fantasy, it could be anything I want, right?
Yeah.
But realistically, I think breaking the log press record is something I think that can be done within 5 years. The deadlift record is a pretty lofty goal. I can't say I'm anywhere near 500 kilograms right now. So it breaks my heart, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Soon. 5 years. A lot can happen in 5
A
years.
lot can happen.
That's
And the rate you're going, like 465 today on the log, I think.
Yeah.
Jesus, I don't know what's coming up.
Take for longevity in the sport.
And imagine he gets to like 350 pounds. What's going to happen then?
That's true. If I
When you get heavy,
If I get when I get that heavy, then I'll change my mindset about that.
that's going to be a whole new ballgame. Next question comes in from Vladimir Vermagnuson. Ask him why he thinks people hate on him so much when he's incredibly kind to everyone. He's not cocky, he's not arrogant, and he doesn't talk shit about others.
Why people hate him so much? Well, I have to disagree with him. I think only maybe even less than 5% of people who tune into me hate on me. I think I have an overwhelming amount of supporters and people who are positive across my social media. And very rarely do I have anyone on, at least on my page, that I see that's hating on me or going against me or being negative. Maybe if I go on someone else's page, I'll see a couple comments about somebody disliking like me having the opportunity to do a strongman and things like that. But it's such a small percentage that I don't see it as like I have so
You're
much.
huge for the sport, man. You're huge for the sport, especially coming from different genres and being lighter than everyone else and smashing numbers like 440 in the log and 465.
Like that's a great for the
inspiration.
publicity of the sport as well.
Yeah, inspiration for all the young kids out there too.
And then, when I know my perception is that when people are hating like that, it's purely jealousy.
Success breeds hate. Success breeds hate, right?
You gotta let the haters do the job. They have a job to do.
Exactly.
I think next question comes in from a local named Allah. He's a comedian of sorts. His question was, after Strongman, are you going to take on CrossFit?
Yes, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take it on. I don't know for how long, but maybe just a month to see what it's like.
I can help you with that.
You're the person I need to talk to.
Yeah, she's the CrossFit hybrid powerlifting. Like, kick anyone's ass kind of person.
I should have like an oxygen mask ready just in case.
Yeah.
The sea could get very intense.
Oh yeah.
Try not to
She
kill you
can.
the first day.
She's not. Yeah, she's a pretty face, but then when it comes to that, she's like stern as hell. Next question, which is the last question, we'll get our cameraman Ben to ask that question. You had one last one about the bread. I'm like, Ben, get in the frame. Let's ask that question. Get in on this.
Just share the mic. Yeah, this is gonna be a little bit awkward. Maybe I can leave it off.
Can you make it more awkward?
No, let's not do that. So, question from one of the fans, actually, more of a joke question. Actually, there's two questions I like to ask.
Okay.
One, the glasses is your signature now. I actually was gonna make a little T-shirt with a silhouette of just a black jack dude with some white glasses on.
Yeah, we were
but
thinking of that, remember?
Yeah, we were thinking of that.
That's clever, yeah.
Yeah. Ideas for your marketing guy. But why do you always train with them? Have you ever considered contact lenses? Like, people are saying like, oh, I thought training with glasses was my thing. Now Larry Wheels comes along, just jacked and, handsome looking in his glasses.
Well, for a long time, if you haven't noticed, I'm always training videos, I'm squinting and everything, and I just got tired of it. And I tried contacts, and the thing is, I've had bad eyesight for as long as I can remember it, but I was too stubborn to wear glasses, and I hated the process of taking them in, putting them on, taking them out. So I was like, screw glasses and contacts, I'd rather be half blind. And that's what I did for a long time. But I got old, and I smartened up, I got glasses, and I mean, they never fall off during training. I feel everything is just more precise. Like, my hand placement is always exactly where I want it. Well, glasses on, like, it might be slightly off. Everything's a bit blurry.
It's a side heavier than that side.
It definitely helps.
Did you misload weights a lot?
I missed the 0.5. I missed the 0.5.
All right, last silly question to end the day. You like PB&J sandwiches?
I love them, yeah.
Crust on or crust off?
Crust off.
Crust off!
Yeah, with banana slices.
Interesting.
PB&J with banana slices.
PB&J with banana, crust off. That's the Larry.
Perfect. On that bombshell, anything you would like to add, Larry?
Just that you guys have been great. You asked all the right questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you, and thank you so much for doing this. It's a total honor, and being a total sport with all the funny, silly questions. We really appreciate your time. Thank you for being in Dubai.
Oh, thank you so much for having me here.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Guys, hope you enjoyed that episode. Stay strong and stay hangry.